Ouch. Of course, I'm going to hit the live button and whack myself on my desk because I flail. And I try to keep my hands below my camera so y'all don't see like I'm directing airplanes for landing. But I always hit this little knob on my wrist on my desk all the time. So if you ever watch a video and you just hear this random knock, it's not one of the dogs. It's just me flailing around. But hello and welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Wine and Crime Book Club live show talking about Riley Sager's The Last Time I Lied. And what better way to celebrate International Friendship Day than to have all of these booktube buddies join me on stream? Thank you all so much for joining me here today. We have Kate from the Literary Apothecary. I cannot talk today. And we have Anita. We have Lauren, who is from Paperback Empire. I have all of their channels once the show is finished and goes up on YouTube. All of their channels will be linked in the description box down below. Check them out. But we are here today to talk about this little thriller right here, which I don't know about you all, but so far, the thrillers that we've read for this book club, this one's my favorite. Hands down, this is my favorite. This is also my first book by Riley Sager. Was it y'all's, or have y'all read him before?
This was actually my second.
It was your second? What was your first one?
The first one I read was actually Final Girls, which was honestly, I mean, it's been a few years since I've read it, but like it wasn't great for me. I think I gave it like maybe 2.5 or 3 stars. It was just kind of, I don't know, like it wasn't bad. It was just kind of forgettable. Like as soon as I closed it, I just never thought of it again. So this was sort of a second chance of like, because I've heard people kind of disparage Riley Sager a lot, which has, I think, prevented me from picking up another book until now. But The Last Time I Lied seems to be one of his most popular. So as soon as I saw that you guys were going to read it for the book club, I was like, okay, this is the one. If I'm going to read another one, this is the one that I need to read. And I'm really glad I did because I also really liked it.
Well, I'm glad this is the one that got picked. I do have Final Girls on my shelf. So I thought, well, since I have that one already, that's going to be my next one to try. So we'll see, but I'll keep trying because there's a lot of books by this author that I'm all the time seeing mentioned. So I definitely want to try more of their works. But, oh yeah, it's Stacy's first time with Riley too.
Yeah, this was my first as well.
Okay, so we had a lot of first timers. So I'm glad we picked a winner for being it the first time. But for those of you, because I saw we've got Esme here, who's here for the spoiler-free thoughts. So we'll jump into what is this? Oh, and then we have Andreas. Hello, everybody. Okay, Amanda's like me. I'm glad I'm not the only one that stockpiles books and gets to them eventually. But for those of you who are popping in for our non-spoiler thoughts about The Last Time I Lied, a brief, quick summary is this book is about 28-year-old Emma. Emma Davis is returning to Camp Nightingale. Is it Nightingale?
Yes.
Nightingale. She's returning to Camp Nightingale 15 years after the last time that she was there. The last year Camp Nightingale was open, she was a camper there. She was 13 at the time. The 3 older girls that she got assigned a cabin with, she wakes up one night as the girls are sneaking out, and one of them's like, puts her finger to her lips and says, "Don't say anything." Never sees them again. The 3 girls vanished, and even to the day, even present day, 28-year-old Emma, the girls have never been found. And she has been haunted by the girls, and Emma is hoping this opportunity that she gets to go back to Camp Nightingale to work as an art instructor. While it may seem odd to return to the tragedy, it also, Emma's using it as sort of a healing process. She's hoping she can go back, get some closure on what happened, and move forward, move on to a healthier life. That's about as non-spoilery as I can get for what it's about. And those are just camp thriller or horror books that have to deal with summer camp or camping period out in the woods, that's a trope I love. Just revisiting former like scenes of where something bad happened, a trope I love. So I was immediately intrigued by those two things. That's what pulled me in wanting to read this one. So I was very excited to read it. And for those that are in the chat that have read it, as well as my friends here, what did you rate this book?
I think I rated 4 stars for me.
I think I was the same.
I rated 4.5 stars. I was really impressed how it engaged me throughout from page 1 to last page. I mean, my suspects were actually, my theories were keep changing every other chapter. I keep suspecting a different person.
That was so funny. Anita and I actually were reading the book at the same time, and we were pretty close to one another as far as the amount that we were reading each day. And we were so funny chatting about reacting to what was happening in the book and then changing what we thought or suspecting. Riley Sager did an amazing job writing characters that were realistic. Or even though there were some times that I thought, well, that's kind of an easy plot device, he provided a logical reason for it.
Exactly.
Like when we first find out that Emma is thinking about returning to Camp Nightingale, I thought, what sane person is going to do that? If you've been affected by the tragedy that happened there when you were a child, what sane person is going to go back?
Yeah.
But she didn't just make the snap decision. She thought about it. She talked it over with a friend. And then it was a lot like when she said, I'm going to do this for my mental health. I'm going to do this so I can heal and move forward. I thought, okay, that makes sense. And so every time we would meet a character, each character had their own story. He did a great job of introducing them, giving me a feel for them, and just giving me all this logic. And I wasn't expecting everything to just be so well explained.
Yeah.
But then there's just, you're also, it's a thriller. So you're suspecting everyone.
A lot of red herrings.
Well, one of the things that I appreciated most out of this writing was the unreliable narrator. A lot of times I don't get along with unreliable narrators because they're told and you're guessing half the time. But the way Emma was as an unreliable narrator was she came to a conclusion. She explained why she thought it was the right conclusion. And then when it turned out not to be the right conclusion, she went on and made, other conclusions. But she gave such great reasoning for every one of her conclusions throughout the whole book that you were like, yes, this has to be it. This is definitely it.
Yeah.
Instead of, other unreliable narrators would be like, well, I don't know. This person just seems off. And I don't know. I just don't like this person. So they're a suspect. And it just seemed like you were like, yes, this has to be it. And then you moved on to the next one and you're like, oh yeah, this one is definitely not that person.
Yeah, I was right there with her. Although there were a few times I thought I was getting ahead of the game and figuring stuff out. And like Emma, I did not. But another one of the things here that I have on the screen from Amanda is she's like Nancy Drew.
Mm-hmm.
And in the opening chapters when she was on her way to Camp Nightingale and she mentioned I packed a copy of Nancy Drew for inspiration. I cracked up because that is something I would say do. I just was like, okay, Emma, me and you, we're in for the long haul for this one. But for those of you who are in the chat that have not read The Last Time I Lied, I would definitely encourage you to probably sneak out so we can talk a little bit about some spoilers. But we are going to play a game that was very instrumental throughout the course of the story called Two Truths and a Lie. This was a game that Emma and the original 3 girls that when she went to Camp Nightingale at 13 years old, the older girls liked to play this game called Two Truths and a Lie. And the idea behind it is you make 3 statements. 2 of them are true, and 1 of them is a lie, and your friends are supposed to guess which one is the lie. Now, the interesting thing about it is it sounds fun, harmless, but it can be used to get information about the people you're playing with, information they don't realize they're giving you. So I love how it started out as a kid's game, but later morphed into a Nancy Drew tactic, if you will.
I think it was also used a little bit for like a little bit of comedy relief.
Yeah.
Because it was like a really good tool, I think, for both revealing information, but also, I mean, kids are gonna say and do the, unpredictable funny things.
See, me, I probably just tell 3 lies as a kid.
Yeah.
So just really make it interesting. Bye, Esme. Thank you for jumping in here, but we thought about it. Okay.
Yeah. Actually, when you suggested, I'm sorry, I interrupted.
No, you go ahead.
When you suggested playing this for this live stream, I was like, yeah, okay, let's do this. And then as I started to think of things, all I could think of were lies.
I kept thinking of truth.
I know, I was the other way. I kept thinking of truths. I'm like, maybe I can turn one of these truths into a lie.
Okay.
I struggle to come up with, I mean, I let you girls go first anyway.
Okay. Well, I'm going to hide the lower half of my face because whatever I'm thinking definitely shows. But I'm just going to hide my whole face because my eyes will probably do it too. But I'm going to go first.
All right.
So, all right. Don't give it away by your voice either. All right. Here's my 3. I completed my July TBR. I went to summer camp as a kid. I've read over half of my physical TBR collection.
The last one.
That's got to be a lie.
There is no way.
The way you acquire books, Leslie. Come on, let's be real.
Last one is a lie.
Kate?
3.
The last one?
Yeah.
Okay. So the lie is actually I completed my July TBR. I'm on the last book, but I got proof. So since I just said I'd probably lie for all 3. All right, there's my library app. Unread 261, finished 347.
Wow, that's amazing.
I'm pretty proud of that.
You should be. That's amazing.
Although the unread number seems to keep growing, so it doesn't ever really.
How does that happen? How?
But yeah, I actually did go to summer camp as a kid, and I loved it. I went to the Boys and Girls Club camp called Camp John Hay. It was so great. Row! Oh, actually, I have. Way back in the early days of BookTube, before I made 10,000 friends who all seemed to read different books at me at the same time and made them all sound so amazing that I wanted to read them. And then I turned around and now I do it to all of my friends that I have here today.
Stop judging, Channing.
All right, who's going to go next?
I'll go next. 1, I own more unread books than books I have read.
Wow.
It's going to be on everybody's.
2, I've never been to summer camp. 3, I will read every one of the books I own one day.
Ooh.
Oh, it's tough.
Ooh.
Again, I'm going with 1.
I'm going to go with 1.
I think I'm going to go with 2.
You all are incorrect.
What?
The correct answer is 3 because I'm always I have a shelf of books that I sell.
Amanda.
And half of those books I
You
have
cheater.
no interest in reading.
No.
You cheater.
We don't know future, so that can't be a lie.
Y'all haven't watched my bookshelf tour?
Yes, but I don't count the A books that you're selling.
Well, I counted them because technically I own them.
You're right.
Okay. Technicality. We'll take it.
We'll allow it. I'm just gonna call you Vivian for the rest of the live show.
Go ahead, Lauren.
Okay. So mine are oddly specific because apparently I'm good at coming up with lies. Okay, so the first one is whenever I was in college, I was a camp counselor for a summer where I taught riflery.
Wow.
I'm from Texas, by the way.
Okay.
The second one is that when I was at camp one year as a kid, a skunk wandered into my cabin. A friend got too close to it, and it sprayed them in the mouth.
That would have happened to me.
And then the
Your
third one,
childhood was wild.
yeah. And then the third one is that whenever I was 14 years old, I went to space camp in Huntsville, Alabama.
That is
Oh,
so
I wanted
specific.
to
That
go to
should be
that.
truth.
I'm gonna go with the first one.
Okay.
I was thinking one also.
I
Two
have-
is just too elaborate to not be true. I want it to be true.
I don't know. I'll go with 2.
All right, you're all wrong. I never went to space camp.
Oh man. See, so many kids went like in our area because I'm from Mississippi. So many kids in our area went to Huntsville Space Camp that I was just like, that just had to be it.
I wish that was true. Like I had a friend who went to space camp and she was like, I lost touch with her, but that was always like her life's dream was to become an astronaut. And she had like this giant space mural painted in her bedroom with like astronauts painted all over it and stuff. And I was so jealous. I never got to go to space camp.
Did she become an astronaut now?
I don't think she did, but I know that she actually ended up going into the Air Force, which I think a lot of
wow.
astronauts, they come out of the
They
Air
do.
Force. So like she was at least serious enough to like go into the Air Force to like achieve
Yeah.
that goal. So anyhow. And yes, I did have a
Alright.
friend who got sprayed in the mouth by a skunk. So that
Yes,
is true.
that was too
That
good. That was
happened.
too good. Okay, Anita, we're gonna let me see
Okay.
if I can get one guess right here. Hit us with it.
I don't like having unpopular opinions. I have learned horse riding in my first summer camp. And 3, I spent at least 3 hours to make a 5-minute video.
Oh man, see that's
I
me.
mean to edit a 5-minute video.
3 has to be true because I can relate to that.
Same. Like I feel that.
Ooh.
Does she have any pictures of horses? I'm trying to remember back to winter night chats. If you ever mentioned horses, I'm gonna say number 2's a lie.
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning towards number 2 as well because also number 1, like you seem like someone who probably likes to have unpopular opinions, like
No.
rebellious streak. No?
I don't see. I don't.
Well, wait, can you repeat number 1? Because I think based on Lauren's comments, I think
Oh, did I get it wrong?
correctly.
I said I don't like having unpopular opinions.
Oh, okay, then 1. I think you probably
Yeah,
like
I would
having
say
that's
number
what I
1
mean.
because I don't think Anita doesn't
I-
not liking it, but she's not afraid.
I'm
say
sticking to
something
number
if it
2.
goes
I'm
wrong.
sticking to number 2.
Okay. It is number 2. I have never been to summer camp.
Yes, I have won. I was like,
know,
I know there's been plenty of opportunity to talk about horses and some of the books we've read, and I don't remember being like, oh, I love to ride horses.
I mean, when you mentioned Winter Night Trilogy, I was like, yeah. So I mean, we all loved Sola. What is her name? Sovereign. The
So,
horse name.
Solvay.
Solveig. Okay, we
Yeah.
all love the horse, but I never mentioned that. I was like, okay, Leslie got it. Kate, you're right. I mean, technically, I don't mind. I don't hesitate to talk. if I don't like the book, but I don't like having that kind of opinion. I think about it a lot. I take time to make those reviews.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I am the same way. I usually just don't talk. I don't
Mhm.
spend time talking about stuff I don't like. Like in my weekly reading
Oh, yeah.
videos, I'm gonna say, okay, well, this is my experience reading it while I'm reading it. But
I don't
if
do
I didn't
that.
like a book, I'm not gonna spend hours filming and then hours editing because y'all,
No.
the whole spending 5 hours to edit 3 minutes of video, yes,
Oh my
that
god!
happens.
I mean, English is my third language, so I need
Oh
to
wow.
Wow.
I need to think at the same time. If I'm talking fast, I get I stutter so many times, so I repeat so many sentences. So I have to cut out all those
Yeah.
jumbled up words. So though it is
Mhm.
like 30-minute video, I have to cut a lot and I'll shrink it down to 7-8 minute video.
Mhm.
Oh man, I do the same thing. I do the same thing. Like I love and hate editing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's get into some spoilers about The Last Time I Lied. This is probably the most fun I've had. Like once I finished the book, I went back through the Discord channel and was reading everybody as they're talking their theories and who they're suspecting and then when it would change. I had so much fun. This was the most fun, hands down, book to read because I never figured it out. There was a lot going on. There was just so many interesting aspects between all of the different characters and the past, the present. The ending blew my mind.
Yeah.
I never once thought Vivian was still alive. Never once, ever, ever, ever.
Same.
So I loved it. I
I
absolutely
talked
loved it.
myself out of thinking Vivian was alive. At one point, I was like, she's still alive. And then, like, my brain talked myself out of that belief.
Yeah,
It was like, no, she can't be. How can she still be? Like, I kept questioning myself.
Yeah.
Well, I always fall for if the author puts something in distracting,
Okay.
I am the squirrel that follows it.
Oh, me too.
I never
Tiny object.
think,
Yeah.
did I just get distracted by because I'm like, oh, we've mentioned the maintenance guy twice now.
Same. I thought it was the maintenance guy the whole time.
I'm like, oh, she drove in and she saw him. Oh, here we are. She sees him again. I'm like, there's a reason why that's thrown in there.
Mhm.
So I'm over here, Nancy Druin, writing down in my
I
journal,
totally
and
forgot
I'm like,
about the maintenance guy.
I couldn't let go of the maintenance dude.
oh man, and I kept suspecting Theo, not suspecting Theo, and they were the characters. A lot of times in thrillers, the different characters will kind of remain pretty mysterious.
Yeah.
But I love that we got some pretty good development, like Theo's character
Mhm.
and how he reacted after he was falsely, or we never really knew the whole time. I would suspect Theo, then I wouldn't suspect Theo.
Right.
I didn't want to suspect Theo. I wanted him and Emma. Like I'm over here going, hey, we get a little romance going.
Yeah.
And I was just at war with myself because I kept, as I was getting to know these characters, I was liking them.
Yeah.
And I mean, I even liked the three new girls when Emma goes back.
I did too. They were so sweet.
I thought they were, yeah.
They were so
Especially Sasha, she's so cute.
Yes.
Coming up with all those statistics.
Yes.
She was super cute. I thought I really related to Miranda, the little bossy one.
Yeah.
I don't know why. That wouldn't have been me. But so I really appreciated how we did the time jumps, and sure, it was a little odd to have you're thinking when you read the back of the book, okay, she goes back and the same thing happens again. Snore. But it wasn't the same thing. He totally tricked me with that book description. Because I'm going, okay, whoever, I just assumed somebody snatched the girls, and then I assumed that same person snatched the girls the second time. So the fact that the three girls originally weren't snatched and that it was so good. I was so entertained and just caught up. And I also really thought the author did a great job. Like, he picked a setting we're all familiar with. Even if you didn't go to summer camp, I feel that we've watched a ton of TV shows, movies, where we know what that looks like. So it was very easy for me to picture. He didn't have to waste a whole lot of time doing any kind of atmospheric or just setting the scene for us. So I thought that's kind of brilliant.
Yeah.
Everybody can probably picture that. But how did y'all think about that? Did y'all kind of feel the same way?
I agree. I think that that's like a really big part of why I enjoyed it so much, is because, I was big into summer camp. Obviously, like, everything I can think of for a Two Truths and a Lie has to do with summer camp. But it was incredibly believable to me. Like, it felt very, both as being like the experience as a camper, and then also Emma having the little girls in her cabin, like being a counselor. That was very realistic to me. And the girls, sneaking off to do whatever. Yes, that happened. So I agree. Like, the characters, the setting was amazing, and the characters were well fleshed out. Like, yeah, it was spot on for me.
You, I'm sorry. Are you done, Lauren?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Theo was, obvious suspect from the beginning, and he was already suspected 15 years back. That's why I was sure maybe he was innocent. So my first suspects were either maintenance man or Chet, because I don't want to, suspect Theo. But later, when we move on, I doubted Casey. At the same time, when Theo enters, he follows Emma and comes. I was like, oh my God, please tell me, Theo, you followed Emma. No, don't be a suspect. My anxiety was through the roof. I'm. I believe author did a great job, to create that doubt in us for every character, at the same time giving logical explanation why that person did that at that time. I mean, for example, take maintenance man. He was always, of course, he was a creep. There's no doubt about that, but he gave excellent reasoning why he wouldn't do that. That was real. He did that for every character. I really liked that. And I liked all three new girls in present time, but all those older girls are like morally gray characters, if we can call it, for teenagers. But I think all the mental health played a big role in this book. Even Emma has gone to, even Theo has suffered with, and I'm pretty sure Vivian has that same problem as Chet. Of course, she's not taking any medication or therapy for that. At the end, Chet went to therapy. But even irrespective of what Chet did, I felt bad for him at the end, because his mother passed away and his brother is leaving town for an year, so he's all alone in mental institution. There is no one to, his fiance left him, obviously. There is no one to even visit him. I felt very bad at the end.
Yeah.
And what do you all think about Vivian?
I loved it. I loved it. But real quick, did anybody else suspect Lottie?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
As soon as Emma started talking about Lottie and her, her reasonings why it could be Lottie, I was like, that makes 100%. I was down with Lottie as a suspect out of anyone that she had talked about. And then when it was like, she was like, no, it wasn't Lottie because of this. And I'm like, what? No. Let's get back to Lottie. Come on.
So, in regards to Vivian, and it kind of ties into the whole book, I honestly think the purpose, the point behind this entire thriller was what mental health can do, what the effect it can have on a
Yeah.
person, because it all stems from that. Vivian, when her sister drowned and her two best friends did nothing,
Yeah.
it crushed Vivian to lose her sister. Her mental health suffered. And because it was not handled in a way that was healthy for her, she plotted, and her way of dealing with it was to murder the two girls who watched her sister die.
Mhm.
Well, and what her effect of what she did bled over and affected Emma's mental health. I mean, Emma didn't know that at the time. She thought these girls disappeared, someone took them, killed them. And she did get treatment for her mental health, but it just wasn't, because there was no closure. I think it kept her from fully healing. And then because she was a little bit of a brat and jealous, she accuses Theo, which the family losing their wealth, that affected the mother, the brother, Theo, and then he almost dies in a car accident. So all of this is just stemmed from the effects we have on one another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's
I
like
thought-
chain reaction. One incident affected so many people. I mean, their future, how they treat with everything in their life. It's so sad. When Vivian faked her drowning, I mean, those two friends, Natalie and Allison, right? They did not do anything. I mean, I realized that I was like, what the hell? They knew swimming. Why they did not do anything? I mean, Vivian mentioned the same. I think, I'm not sure if I don't think they're exactly bad people. I think they panicked
They were kids.
in that moment.
Yeah, they were kids, and they were probably frozen in fear. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
I think Vivian's initial plan was to come back to the room and act like she did not know anything about her friends. But when Emma did not open the door, I think she planned to, go away. I mean, I don't know how she managed to do it. I mean,
yeah,
somehow,
that was a bit of a plot hole.
yeah.
Mhm.
But I don't care. I just thought
Yeah.
I was like, yes.
I think this is the first time in a book where I don't hate anyone. I mean, it's really sad. I felt sad for these characters, entire family of Chet, and at the same time, I mean, sad for Vivian also, because she lost her sister, her parents. She does not get any care and affection from her parents. She was all alone. She suffered through her mental health. So she did that. uh, I mean, I understand what she did was evil thing, cruel thing, but I don't hate her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it made sense.
Yeah, I found her really relatable, like having a sibling. I mean, I don't know that I would murder anyone if anyone, that happened to my brother, but I could certainly understand that feeling.
Exactly.
I mean, a couple of
Really
them,
relatable.
I would. One of them,
Well, and I think because the big reveal of Vivian and what she did came at the very, very end of the book, we didn't have a lot of time to hate Vivian for what she did, because we built all this time up getting
That's
to
a
know
wonderful
Vivian,
point,
attaching
Kate.
ourselves to Vivian, that at the very end, in like the last two chapters, it was like, bam, this is what really happened to the girls 15 years ago. And then the book ended, and so you didn't have the time.
Last page, literally last page.
Yeah.
That's a very good point.
You don't have time to hate her because you're going, damn, that's so
and you're trying
cool.
to figure out how she did, how it happened. We know what happened, but we still don't know how it happened.
Yeah. I just.
And I thought, like, along the same lines of the mental health talk, once I got past all of the suspects that I thought, just like Emma, were suspects, and then they turned out not to be, then my mind at one point turned to Chet, because the narrative started shifting towards Chet a lot instead of Theo. And then I got this image stuck in my head of Chet crying as the cops were leading Theo away 15 years ago. And I'm like, could he be desperate enough for revenge for his brother
But
to
you
come
know
back
why?
15 years ago?
You know why I
Mhm.
discounted that? I thought that, but you know why I just immediately dismissed it? Because they're not blood brothers. They're adopted. They were each adopted. And I
Yeah, but
thought, I was like, we really didn't get a whole lot of their relationship of how they were as kids when they were adopted,
right.
when they were that young. So I thought, would he,
I mean, if that's all the family you know, though, if like, we don't really know what they knew of their natural family, their real family. But if their adopted family is the only family that they knew or that they remembered, then Theo could have possibly been just the same feelings as, blood as his real family. So to
yeah,
me, it didn't matter if they were adopted or not. That was their family.
yeah, but he
Mhm.
didn't give me enough information. So I was like, which is probably what he intended.
Right.
My theories were crazy. I did not write this theory in chat because I thought you'll all laugh at me. Because at some point I thought Emma was pulling Fight Club. I thought she told these girls her secret that she did not open the door. So I thought she followed them, and
Oh
she
man.
I mean, I
See,
did not think she killed them, but she's the one, hiding them. I thought maybe there is a chance.
Mm.
I when she started mentioning about she kind of there were the ending of a few chapters where she's like, and I lied about that, or I lied about this, or the lies that I told. And then I started thinking, what if she had something to, and then when it got to that part where the girls came back and wanted in and she wouldn't let them in, I was like, what if she actually did do something and then she just kind of blocked that out of her mind?
Mhm.
So
Right.
I actually
Oh, yeah.
suspected Emma. I
Yeah,
mean,
Yeah.
it was
same.
everybody.
Yeah.
It was everybody,
Yeah.
honestly.
Literally everyone was suspect at one point or another.
I
Yep.
I never suspected Franny, but I thought Franny knew who I thought she knew who it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But of course,
I'm still surprised how forgiving and kind Franny and Theo were. That was,
Yeah.
well, now that got explained to me because at first I thought, well, that's kind of cool, but then I thought they didn't actually forgive her. They just need her to be there to use her to get the
As an
reputation
image.
repaired. And so
Right.
I'm like, they're just using her. They don't really care. They just
Franny
that
was using Franny was using her for that purpose, but I think Theo. I understand. I think they did background check, so they realized that Emma has suffered through mental breakdown. That's also maybe because of that they showed that kindness. But I'm really surprised. I wouldn't
well,
be that forgiving. I think.
well, as we got a little further in, Theo actually did he held on to some hurt. So they finally had that conversation when they were alone, and he was like, "So why did you say that?" It definitely hurt him, which is kind of why he was like, I'm gonna go do my doctor thing over here in Africa. I'm gonna be there for a year. When I get back, we'll see if all the water's under the bridge.
Mm.
So I did appreciate that. I thought it was a little too easy then too, but when they finally had that conversation and he let her know, hey, I'm still carrying that hurt. And when she found out how he actually what all he went through, and then of course I feel that some of that could have been when not when Chet, when Theo had his accident and basically almost killed himself.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
think for him to go through a healing process, some of that's going to require forgiving Emma.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that's damage he's carrying on that's hurting him and not anybody else. So
Also, he did not understand why Emma did that when she told him about that maintenance guy. And she's witnessing their incident in shower. That's when he got clarity that what happened. why Emma did that. I think that's how he was able to forgive her, because he got that logical explanation.
Yeah, definitely.
The story with the bird children, Andreas, like that, I think was just a red herring. I no, you know what though? Maybe she told the story to Emma about Chet. Maybe Franny had some suspicions, or maybe she knew that Chet was behind all of the stuff that was happening, like the birds in the cabin and painting a liar on the door. We know he was behind the camera being put up, so maybe Franny did know. Maybe
I
she
mean,
did
I
know.
don't think. I mean, I'm. We thought exactly same from the beginning, Amanda. I suspected maintenance guy and Chet, and yes, I suspected Casey, and I thought the adopted brothers were descendants of the village. Our thoughts, our theories went in the same direction.
Yep. I definitely I thought perhaps Ben, the maintenance guy, was a descendant from the
Yeah.
village under the lake too.
Hmm.
Yeah, there was just so many good fun elements thrown in that I mean, this one just had me hanging on by my coattails the whole ride. I just absolutely like Anita and I read this book. Gosh, I think it was like what in two
It
days.
was so much fun, actually.
Yeah, we flew through it and just had the best time talking about it. And then I just went back and was reading. Andreas and Stacy were kind of reading it closely and just watching their exchange when Stacy was working her way through. I just was getting the biggest kick out of it. And I just one like that,
Yeah.
that's what I would call a good time book. Is
I
what
was
I
so
would
engaged with the text that I had to remind myself to go back to Discord and add comments because I was
I
so
did
engaged.
that
I just
too.
wanted to keep reading, and I'm like, wait, this is a buddy read. I'm reading this with other people, not just on my own. So I had to go back and like,
I
and
I
so
did
am
then
that
I
like
too.
am
my
opposite.
comments were like not. I was like going crazy a lot more than my comments showed.
Yeah, like
I
Anita
am
and I were going, and all of a sudden I like read like half the book, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm complete opposite. My imagination works faster. I come up with crazy theories, and I have to say that I was like, okay, this is the first time I'm reading with these people. I don't want to scare them. Anita, hold back. Stop typing everything.
well, don't ever worry about that. I'm the girl that loves serial killers, so you got no
You know,
worries. You got no
before
worries.
before starting the book, I was little worried because I know you read lot of horror and serial killer books. I was like, I don't want. I mean, I don't. I feel I imagine a lot. I feel stressed and anxious a lot. So I was little worried, but I loved this book so much because I mean, though we worried about what is happening and what happened, it isn't that serious. Our
Right.
my focus was on figuring things out. And at the same time, we did not see what happened exactly 15 years back. Though, so there wasn't a dull moment or serious moment where I felt anxious. I really liked that part.
Hmm.
Yeah, it wasn't scary. It wasn't something that I'm reading about like there was an actual serial killer on the loose and I would hear something bump outside and then I'm like sleeping with the lights on. It was just fun. It had my brain engaged. I had a great time just thinking over the information that I was supplied and trying to put the pieces together and failing. But and I just hope that we continue to get books like this type, which for those of you who are still hanging around, next month, Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby. I haven't read anything by this author yet, but I have a couple of their books on the shelves, and I've just heard nothing but good things. Plus, this one sounds really good. I'm just very, very excited to see what's going to happen. It sounds like um, two two boys. They're a couple. They get murdered, and their two dads are like one's like a former inmate. I forget what the other one does, but it sounds like they're about to come together and team up and just kick tail and find out who it was that murdered their sons. And I'm just
Also,
all in.
I think as per premise, they did. I mean, they are little homophobic. They did not accept their sons. So
Right.
it is. I mean, finding more about their sons, accepting that, and taking revenge. I think it also deals with that. It sounded very good.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with you, Andreas. This one was definitely, I feel, the effects of mental health on how we affect each other, and just what you know it just makes you step back and think, okay, if I do something, how is this going to affect someone else who cares? So,
Hmm.
oh, yep, Kate's got to get to her other live show. I'm sorry, Kate.
Hi, Kate.
I tried to keep it going. So, but is there any closing thoughts about the book you guys want to share? Anybody in the chat? I loved it.
Don't swim in lakes when it's dark outside.
I don't swim in water I can't see the bottom of anyway.
Same. Especially at night. Don't do that.
Yeah, I've seen Jaws and I've seen Titanic. I don't get over deep water, and I get in the pool that our community has. That's it.
Yeah, it creeps me out. Lakes creep me out.
Well, so I used to do triathlons a lot. And
cool.
I did the half Ironman in Augusta, Georgia. And the swim, you do a 1 mile swim in the Savannah River. And everybody's like, oh, just get in the center. The current will carry you. You'll fly. And the water was very clear. The problem with that is there's some kind of fern that was growing off the bottom of the riverbed.
Oh.
And I got long arms. I'm a tall girl. And as I'm swimming, when I would, pull myself through the water, my fingers was catching those ferns growing on the bottom of the river. And my brain immediately pictures the girl from The Grudge, which then shifts into, this is my hands, my fingers are catching in her hair. I started hyperventilating. I had to go over to the side of the river and just kind of stand in the shallow part and calm myself down so that I could go back and finish the swim.
I can understand. I can relate it so much. It happens to us every time. I mean, whenever by mistake, if something touches our fingers or anything, it's like, okay, immediately pull back.
Or just like bumps you. Like, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Like, I'm so glad that my husband doesn't like cruises or anything like that. That's nothing that blows his skirt up. And I'm so glad, because I'll be the one to fall off the boat. And then I'm going to die of a heart attack before I hit the water, because I'm going to imagine that Jaws is down there waiting for me. I can't do it. I can't do it. So yeah.
If you go out to like any lake around here where I live, or honestly, I mean, I've lived in Texas my whole life. Any lake in Texas at night, you can look at it, and it only takes stand there for about 5 or 10 minutes, and you see snakes, like water snakes.
Well, here it's
alligators.
Yeah. Like, I tell everybody, it doesn't matter where or how deep, anywhere that water is standing has a gator in it. Just know that.
I mean, why is that?
There are like 1 million gators in Florida. And it's just the area, and we have this large area called the Everglades, and they just reproduce like crazy. But we have a whole bunch of water, and they're very territorial, so they just spread out all over the state. But we have one in our little pond. We named him Wally. He never gets out. He never gets out of the pond.
That's a good gator name.
In the pond. Yeah, my husband named him. He calls him Wally Gator. And we don't ever go down. But every time, and people, you're not supposed to swim in these ponds. The retention ponds for the communities, the lakes that are in the communities, all have signs. They're like, don't get in the water. There is a gator there. And so just about every other day, there's a headline somewhere in Florida, somebody dies because they get in these ponds and lakes knowing there's a gator. And
I'm just like, are they not from around there? Like, how can you?
Yes, they live here.
Or they're just like thrill seekers.
I'll walk the dogs around the lake, and there'll be people down there fishing. You're not supposed to fish either. You're not supposed to get down on the banks.
Ugh.
And there's a guy literally fishing, standing right by the sign. And, you know, I was feeling petty one day when I seen him out there, and I'm like, you do see the sign you're standing next to, right? Hello. How you doing, babe? I heard a four-legged creature. Yes, there's one hiding under the desk.
Hopefully it's not Wally.
No, it's a little furry, cute four-legged creature. So I was like, you do see that sign that you're standing next to, right? Yeah. So I took a picture, so just in case the HOA has to deal with a lawsuit because this guy dies because he gets in there with a gator.
Oh my gosh.
All right, guys. Well, we're coming up on the hour mark, and I'm being invaded by the family. Thank you so much, Lauren and Anita, for joining me today. You have an open invitation for any time you would like to join me. So it was nice to have you guys here, especially on International Friendship Day. So
yes.
Thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun reading this book, discussing with you, and it is, I mean, fun discussing here. Nice to meet you, Lauren.
Yeah, you too.
Hopefully, we have just as much fun this next month with Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby. For those of you watching, the Discord is linked or will be linked in the description below when the video goes up on YouTube. So you are welcome to join us talking about it there. And I will see all of you guys in the chat for Razorblade Tears and then at the end of August for the live show. Thank you all so much for joining us here today.
Bye.
Do you want to come? You want to say hello to everyone? Since you're creeping around in the background with the pups.
I'm not creeping. Puppy's creeping.
Oh, you're the puppy. All right, everyone. Y'all have a great rest of your afternoon, and I'll see you all later.
Bye.
Bye.